What was your "oh crap, this person is a psychopath" moment when meeting people? 1. I've been a public school teacher for a decade. I've only ever been scared of one student. First of all, this was in my first few years of teaching. This student was of myth in my school. I taught at an alternative school for students that had been expelled from every other school, but, overall, my students were chill. They weren't good students, but, if you met them at their level, things were usually fine. The exception was JT. JT was a sophomore when I met him, but, at that point, I didn't teach him, but boy did I hear about him. Somehow, his mom was able to game the paperwork and education system enough that this kid was unpunishable. Everything was technically covered under a litany of 504 plans and IEP paperwork, so much so that this kid literally pushed a 8-month pregnant teacher down and he was back 2 weeks later. He could literally punch a kid in the mouth and be back 2 days later, and, because of this, he was just a massive problem. The first terrifying discovery for me was that his mom was very vocal about not wanting him home because she was scared of him. She had a good reason to be. JT, as a small child, tried to murder his family by lighting their house on fire, specifically trying to murder his brother by duct taping him to his bed while he slept. His brother survived but had horrific burns, but, somehow, that didn't stop him from supporting his almost murderous brother. JT was ruthless, but he was also about 5 feet 4 inches, and his Kruger brother was about 6 foot and much physically stronger. I finally had the pleasure of teaching JT in his senior year. He had approximately 10 credits, all gym-based, and was nowhere near graduation. My first note was that this is the only kid I've ever met that just had nothing going on behind his eyes. He was shark-like, he never smiled or laughed unless someone got hurt, cruel for cruelty's sake. One day, JT wasn't there, which, frankly, was odd. He had a great drug business going at school and he only had to avoid one cop. The next day, we found out why he wasn't there. JT murdered a kid. Shot him in the face for $12 and a little bit of weed. His lawyer tried to get his sentence lowered by arguing that it was technically his first offense since everything else happened when he was a kid. He got 25 to life. 2. Went on a date once and she casually dropped how she killed her brother's hamster with perfume as a kid because she was mad at him, like it was just a quirky little story to laugh about. Needless to say, I started looking for an exit strategy at that point. 3. I met the new boyfriend of an acquaintance, and within 10 minutes of the conversation he was referring to women as holes. It was amazing how I suddenly remembered that my husband had requested I come help him with something.